My name's Hunter, and I used to worship sport.
My name is Matt Hoagland, and I used to worship sport.
In high school, I thought I knew God, but I only knew about God.
When I was about 10 years old, I started playing travel soccer, and our games are always Sunday mornings, so we ended up missing a lot of church, and I found myself missing out on all the time that I could develop my spiritual life, and I just started to feel like I was a little bit lost.
I put sport on a pedestal. Pole vaulting was everything to me. It was where I gained success from. It was where I gained approval from. It was where I looked for love, respect, adoration. It was what provided all of those things to me.
Although God gave me these gifts, I began to take them and I began to put them at the utmost importance in my life. And the only thing that I really cared about was getting better and jumping higher and doing everything that I could to get to that point. And then I just placed that as the idol in my life.
I remember times of success, whether it was winning a high school state championship, whether it was being a conference champion or medaling in the ACC, or even after the first time I was an All-American. Every time I reached a new level or experienced a new success, it was, what's next? What's next? What's next? And it was never, okay, I'm proud of you. You did great. Nothing else is required of you. No matter how much I took from the world, it never filled the gaps and spaces in my life.
These things are things that athletes should strive for, being determined and doing all the hard work. I put those things in front of God Himself, and that was just evidence that I was just being sinful because I was idolizing something other than the Lord Himself.
When I came to college, I continued seeking love, adoration, praise from not only my sport, but also from those around me. And it led me into a life of sin. I became wrapped up in parties, drinking, women, things that separated me from God, things that put me in a state of brokenness.
I got to Virginia Tech in the fall and just kept going on with the same life that I was living in high school. I was still idolizing my sport. I was still seeking acceptance of all the people and my peers and just trying to impress them and do things that would make me more appealing.
I saw the gap that was created by my sin and my rebelliousness and running from God. And I saw that the only reason that that gap could be repaired and closed was because Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins so that I am accepted by God. It didn't matter whether I was an All-American or whether I was nothing, that I was accepted as I am because God loves me and sent His Son to die for me. After realizing I was accepted from God, I also saw that the sin had to stop because it would continue to separate me from God, and that my life had to have a change in it. And I asked God to start to change the desires of my heart to line up with the desires He had for my life. As I grew in community with other believers and Christian athletes, God began to show me that He could use me to change other people's lives the way that He had changed my life.
When I first met Hunter, I saw an excellent pole vaulter. He was a two-time All-American, All-ACC multiple times, and that's exactly where I wanted to be. I noticed that although we were very similar, there was something different between us. I loved pole vault, and I knew he loved pole vault. I knew we both had an extreme passion for pole vaulting, but there was something that he had in front of pole vault. He didn't idolize pole vault like I did. He idolized God.
When I met my teammate Matt, I saw a lot of myself in him. I saw God showing me to move into his life and help Matt experience God in the same ways that I had through Jesus Christ, so he could experience the realities that Jesus Christ allows us to live fully and accepted in him.
And one day, I kind of pushed the limits a little bit too far, and the next morning, I remember waking up feeling awful about everything, and I just sat down and I wrote a letter. And I just wrote a letter apologizing to God, and I just asked that he could give me the power to put those things down. In trusting Christ, I've gained acceptance from the Lord, and his acceptance is so much greater than seeking the acceptance of my peers. I just feel like a void has been filled in my life, that hole that I had, that I felt earlier when I was seeking everything through my idols. Now I feel like there's a life change. Now I feel like I'm free to enjoy these things that he's given me, these gifts, these athletic gifts, and I feel like I don't need to seek the acceptance of anybody that I'm competing against or anybody in the crowd or for anybody, because I'm competing for God, and he's the only person that needs to accept me.